I'm a director. I'm only as good as the people that I put on the field, and I'm only as committed as the people who are committed to do it for us. I'm a good pro. I know my business. I'm a footballing man. I know my business. I'm accepted because I'm a footballing man and I know my business. And the players know that I know what I'm talking about. They know that I don't talk nonsense about the game of football. And they know that no matter how daft I am sometimes, I'm certainly never daft about football in the game. That is dead serious. That is dead serious, and they know it.
To take it. Comes straight out to McLaughlin. It's there! Alan McLaughlin has done it! He could not believe it. He looked for the linesman's flag, but Windsor Park is stunned into silence. Alan McLaughlin has struck gold for Ireland. His very first goal for the Republic of Ireland. Headed out by Taggart. He sees the responsibility, and the man from Portsmouth proves himself another masterstroke as a substitution. Taggart's clearance, but this is a classy finish, an unbelievable finish. The man who first came to prominence during the World Cup in Italy may well have secured the Republic's passage to the next one. Splendid strike, no chance right.
The Northern Ireland match, I always felt we would get a result, but I always felt that we would need to win the game, because I always felt Denmark might get something in Spain. So I thought, well, we've got to win the game. And I've made this very plain to the players in the preparations before we went. And in fact, the game in Northern Ireland was a disappointment to me, because I thought in the first half we didn't play at all. We got, instead of looking for goals or looking to score, when we got in positions to think about a strike on goals, we went and made for an extra pass, so we knocked the ball wide again. And we took soft options all the time. And I was very disappointed in the performance in the first half in Northern Ireland. Second half was much better. We were really starting to get a grip of the game, and it looked like we were going to score. We had had a few reasonable chances, and we had messed them all up. Unfortunately, every one of them had fallen to Ray Houghton. And Ray, he said to me when I brought him off, what do you bring me off for? I'm the only one getting any chances. He said, you're the only one missing all the bloody chances as well, you know. I mean, he'd missed everything that came to him. And then they scored, which was right out of the blue. I mean, it was a really nothing event. It was a ball laid back, bobbled in the air, and a guy jumps about 4 or 5 feet off the ground and volleys it. And it fits in, you know, virtually the first shot they've had on goal in the game. And then we've got to get it back, and it's difficult to panic then, because we looked at the clock and I said to Morris, how long is that to go? And he said 17 minutes. And what you've got to do is you've got to really replan a strategy and get the ball into the box as often as you can, but think of ways of getting it to your advantage. So we swapped, we put Tony Cascarino on, and which was going to mean that we had an extra threat in the air, because we've got to get the ball into the box as quick and as often as possible now. And I put Alan McLaughlin on, primarily to sit, and I said to Alan before he went on the field, I said, sit outside the box, just wait for things to happen to you from the box, and make your runs into the box if you feel there's room there to do it. And everything worked out as it happened. The ball got crossed, ball got headed on competition and was knocked to the edge of the 18-yard box. Alan, which he's very good at, settled on the ball and got us the equaliser. But even then I wasn't happy, because I still felt we had to win the game. Even though we knew the result in Spain at that time was 1-0 to Spain, there was always I'd been very doubtful about the timing of the games. And I had insisted that we got onto FIFA, that both our games must kick off at exactly the right same time, so that they finished in exactly the same time. And in fact, the game over in Seville. It finished about 6 or 7 minutes after our game, if not more. For some reason, they had a delay, and I thought, oh, there's been some sort of... and when I knew they were still playing, I thought it wouldn't... And they know our result, you know. Anyway, we had to sit it out, and eventually, about 7 or 8 minutes after we had done all our celebrations, because we thought we'd qualified, and then I suddenly saw this monitor on the floor, and the game was still going on, and I said, is that a recording? He said, no, it's live. And I couldn't believe it, that game was still going on. Anyway, it finished, and then we knew we were qualified.
And the crowd sang ole, ole, as they all set out on their way. They were off to be seen, supporting the green on the shores of the US of A. And the crowd sang ole, ole, as they all set out on their way. They were
football-wise, I think it's as tough a draw as we could have got in the whole group. But travel-wise, or for getting fans there, yeah, we've got a bigger stadium. It's East Coast, so there's pluses and minuses.
I think it's about as hard a draw as we can get anywhere, really, that particular one. 3 European teams, 3 good European teams. Plus, I think for the Irish, having to go to Orlando and the heat and everything else is not too terribly nice against Mexico.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? We probably got the toughest draw we could have imagined. We were in there biting our nails, hoping that we'd get, you know, obviously in the last group with the US, that would have been a lot easier. But we'll still do it.
I don't know how many Mexicans are going to travel there, so in terms of fans and everything else, I don't know how many tickets we're going to wind up getting. It'll certainly be higher than we would have got in Boston, let's put it that way. But I think the real thing is we've got to qualify from the group, really. And speaking to Jack Charlton today, he seems to be happy enough with the group. He says, OK, it's tough, but let's get on with it. We had a tough one in Italia, we qualified, so we'll do it again here.
They all set out on their way. They were off to be seen, supporting the green on the shores of the US of A. And they all sang ole, ole, as the plane headed towards the runway.
I'm looking forward to America, because it's a place they've all either been or they've all wanted to go to. It seems to be the place that the Irish go to. They've all got relatives, they've all got friends, they've all got a presence in America already to go and visit or see. And the World Cup is a nice excuse to go. And I'm sure that that they'll all enjoy it. I mean, I don't think they'll enjoy the games at the matches so much as they will in the pubs. I think the pubs in America and the pubs in Ireland will be the place to go. I mean, who knows how far you can go when you get through the first round, because it becomes a knockout competition then. And I mean, it's... you never know in football. You never know. I mean, I'm apprehensive now. It may be unfounded. Then again, it may be exactly right. Who knows? I mean, everybody... I've no doubts in my mind that every manager in the game who is taking a team to the World Cup has the same thoughts and same anxieties that I'm having. There are certain teams that are the better teams in the world who wouldn't like the way we play. And there are certain teams who I think would handle the way we play and could handle it and would know how to do it. If we play the way we play at our best, they'll all struggle to hold us. That's why I make so much a fuss about getting back to what we know and doing it to the best of our ability. I don't think the Italians will throw the team forward in large numbers to get a goal against us. I think the Italians will play the way the Italians have always played. They'll play the 5 at the back, the 4 across midfield, the 1 up front, and they'll just keep probing and hope that you make a mistake and they'll hit you on the break. But they will not want to give a goal away, that they've got to get back in a game. I mean, that is... And it's the way the Italians think and the way they play. I don't think they'll change that. It would greatly surprise me if they played 2 forwards and threw a couple of fellas forward from midfield up front and risked losing the midfield and risked losing the back. They're great defenders. They're great defenders. And they're also one of the big football nations in the world, and they have won the World Cup more occasions than anybody else, I think. So we've got... we're going to be playing a great big footballer nation whose players can play and know what the game's about. And it's going to be a very difficult game for us. And, but we will try and make it a very difficult game for them as well. It really didn't matter who we played. I mean, when you look at the seedings, the only team that you would say, well, we're going to get Brazil, we're going to get West Germany, we're going to get Italy, we're going to get Argentina, we're going to get America, we're going to get one of the seeded teams. And the only 2 that we wouldn't have objected to out of those 2 would have been maybe Belgium and in America. But we got Italy. And we played Italy twice. And the games have been very close in the matches against Italy. Although they beat us 2-0 in America, it took a penalty kick and a free kick. It took a free kick first and then a debatable penalty to get us, for them to beat us in America. Even though we only had half a team out that day. It was... So we're not afraid of the Italians. So when we got to play them in America, it didn't bother me particularly. That first one out of that we were going to play, we're going to be in Italy's group, didn't worry me particularly. When we said Mexico, I said, well, yeah, well, Mexico's not the best team in South America by any means, are they? So that didn't bother me too much. And then we got Norway, and I'd seen Norway play against England at Wembley when England should have beat them 2 or 3. And in fact, Norwegians got away with a volley in the end of the game, which would salvage them a point, which gave them an advantage over England. And, but Norway have come on in the last year or so. A lot of the players are playing in England, and from what I've seen, there's nothing there to frighten us. So, you know, the Norway game was one that you say, well... And then everybody starts telling me we're in the most difficult group in the World Cup. I didn't think it was the most difficult group in the World Cup. I mean, we could have had... There were other groups there that I would rather have avoided, knowing what I know. But I'm not bothered that we played Norway, and I'm not bothered that we play the Mexicans. We'll see. The beauty of it is I get to see the Mexicans and the Norwegians the day after we play the Italians. So I will be down in Washington to watch them play, when I will get the real team.
And the crowd sang ole, ole, as they all set out on their way. They were off to be seen, supporting the green on the shores of the US of A.
The preparation for World Cup started on the day we qualified. I mean, that's the time you start looking for players. That's the time you look at what you've got and you think, by another year's time, will we still have that? Or will I have to make preparations in case things go wrong?
Crowd sang ole, ole, as they all set out on their way. They were off to be seen, supporting the green on the shores of the US of A. And they all sang ole, ole, as the plane headed towards the runway.
I try not to undermine the players at all. I don't want to give you the idea that I'm undermining them. They're just the thoughts that I've had in my mind over the years about what I expect from them, what I want, and what I would like. Now, I know what I've got, and it's not always what I would like, but we can't have everything. And we've created a great atmosphere, and we've created a team that's very difficult to beat. When they're all there and they're all buzzing, they are very difficult to beat.
And the crowd sang ole, ole.
Gonna be a great laugh.
Oh, it's going to be a great laugh.
We really will hammer Israel, won't we, lads?
They were off to be seen, supporting the green on the shores of the US of A. And they all sang ole, ole, as the plane headed towards the runway. I was dying to go, but my pocket said no. Then maybe some other day.
you famous?
What can I say?
I am.
Are you famous?
I'm famous now.
He's famous.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm famous as well.
Where are you from? Where are you from? You from Ireland? Where are you from?
Where am I from?
I know
I'm
you.
Ireland.
I know you.
And I love your hat.
Thank you very much. We're nearly at the same hairstyle.
You tell them who's going to win. Who's going to win?
I tell you, you know who's
What's the
going to
score
win.
going to be?
2-0.
2-0. 2-0?
Ireland.
You on for 2-0? Okay. See you later.
See ya.
Thank you.
Sang ole, ole, as they all set out on their way.
We're looking forward to seeing what we have coming through the ranks, and hopefully they'll show their form today.
Check your chances, have you?
No, these own handy short from fingers on each side. And great to see Bono back there, full-time footballer. Lithuania, Wales, England, Scotland. Most of the places we travel to.
Me! I'll be right back.
Denmark, Spain, Latvia, Lithuania, Northern Ireland.
The best one's the Northern Ireland one.
Okay.
There's Kelly's throw, on by Cascarino. And again, in goes David Kelly. McLaughlin, still alive. Whelan. Korneyev, on here, Boroduk. And one out of his goal to save. And he sent it towards David Kelly, but just too much of it.
Good goalkeeper that by Packy. Read it very well.
Forward by Kovtun. Bab. Bonner. Surely a handball. It's a good free kick. It's a free kick for the handball.
Terry's got away with that tackle. There's no way that handball could be intentional. But to be fair to Packy on the replay, he did put his hand up more than I thought he did in the actual play. When he goes at it, he just put his hands up here. Yeah.
Radchenko. Played forward for Popov. And Bonner saves. And here to run a bit is Korneyev. Brian Carey defending. Boroduk. And no foul there.
It's the same team, George, that beat Mexico 4-1.
Just missing 3. The 2 new caps and the goalkeeper who didn't travel.
That's good for the World Cup from Ireland's point of view, isn't it?
Thoroughly miserable afternoon for the fans.
It should be dangerous, George. Free kicks, not win behind, because if they get the right pace and the right flight, it only needs a flick to get really good pace on it.
Curled in. Oh, and a marvellous effort. Up goes McGoldrick. But again, it was the ball that won the race to the touchline. Oleg Salyenko. And the game goes on. Whelan. And Gary Kelly. McAteer out right. Lovely ball from Kelly for McAteer. And again, the confidence of the Bolton youngster showing, but knocked away by Rakhimov. Kelly with the throw. Again, Rakhimov goes in. Again, it comes off him once more. It's a throw to Ireland. O'Brien goes in. Here's Cascarino. And fielded by Curry.
You know, boys, I want a few more games anyway. Challenge games basically played before we meet the likes of Italy, like, you know. And I think that our back four want to be able to curb the likes of, you know, Donadon, you know, and Badger and them, like, you know.
Packy's still my number 1. He's a good shot stopper. He's a very, very hard-working guy. He can be excellent on crosses. He's a guy that I've got confidence in. Yeah, you see, I like Packy to kick the ball. I don't want Packy throwing balls out to centre-backs for them to knock it into midfield, for them to play it forward. So Packy's encouraged by me to kick every ball and bounce it off two big lads up front, then pick it up in midfield, play it behind him and go from there. So it's very important that Packy gets the ball in the right areas. Sometimes he over-kicks balls and he kicks them through the other goalkeeper. And you'll see the lads saying, give it a bit more height so that it doesn't cover as much distance. He's allowed to throw the ball, but only if the ball comes from one side and the guy on the other side he's going to throw the ball to can actually get over the halfway line with the ball. Because what I don't want is to lose the ball in the first third of the field. That is the area, if you play too much football and you lose a ball there, you're really in trouble because they're straight on top of your goals. So we don't allow a goalkeeper to do anything daft. Packy does do things daft because he's not the best goalkeeper in coming out in the world when people are knocking balls back to him. But spectators think this is easy, you know. They think the goalkeeper who has been used to picking and grabbing everything with his hands all his life, suddenly because FIFA introduced a new rule that says you can't pick it up, now they're going to be footballers. That's not the case. Packy has great difficulty in adjusting his balance to doing something totally against what he's been doing all his life. And he's not the best clearer of a ball that's coming in towards him. But then Packy would say to you, hey, you've only got one chance at that ball. And if the ball's knocked a little bit short and it's bouncing all over the place and somebody's running in at you, it's not as easy as it looks to the spectators. And it isn't. Some goalkeepers handle it better than others. Packy isn't handling it very well at the moment.
Timopte against Bonner.
Alan's had a very good season. Which is great. I mean, people talk about one goalkeeper puts pressure on your other goalkeeper to do well. Alan Kelly is a great shot stopper. He's played in a team that struggled all season at the bottom of the division, and that's hard for a goalkeeper. And you're called upon to do more and more and more. If you've got a good back four and you're winning games, the game can be quite easy for a keeper. But when you're under pressure all the time like he's been, and come through it and be considered one of the best goalkeepers in England, that's great. It's good for us, and it's good for Packy. And they both get on very well, and they work very hard together. And we're just delighted to have two first-class goalkeepers.
Oh, that was a fair effort. Had time to think about it. Dumped it, and Kelly was perfectly positioned, and though the ball swerved, did well. Pichont, the provider. And when he steadied himself and then let fly, there was a vicious swerve on it. Kelly did well.
Dennis Irwin is obviously our number one. Even at right back, I still prefer Dennis as a right back rather than a left back. I think he's when he comes forward and he's putting his crosses into the box, he does it better from the right-hand side of the field than he does from the left. He tends to go on and try and score goals more on the left-hand side of the field because he's a right-footed player. And he tends to come inside onto his right foot all the time, and it gives him more opportunities to shoot at goals from that sort of inside left area going towards the goals. Because you come on his right foot and he bend him in or hit him. On the left-hand side, playing at a right full-back, you pull in onto your left foot, and Dennis is not a good striker of his left foot at all. But he's a good crosser on his right foot, and he's a good knocker of the ball into space. I like me deliverers and me full-backs. They're the guys that deliver the ball in behind people. They're the ones that get more room and more time to do it. Because when it gets tight in midfield, the one place you can do is come out of it, give it back to a fullback who can drop off as far as he needs to give himself time to settle on the ball and to play the ball that he wants to play. Whether it's a long one to the far post or a one in behind the fullback, it gives him the opportunity to do it. And I've got two great servers of the ball in Stephen Staunton and Dennis Irwin at the moment.
Greg Villa.
I think this is looking good for Irwin here. Inside of his right foot, near post.
Irwin curls it, it's there!
Terry Phelan comes in. Terry's not a great long ball knocker. He's not got the strength and the power that Stephen's got. But Terry is liable to run it there. Tremendous pace, tremendously quick. And, I mean, he'll get forward and get into spaces much quicker than Stephen ever would. And sometimes when we've played Stephen on the left-hand side in midfield, Terry gets up his outside on many, many occasions and takes on the running of the ball in the left-hand side rule. So we've got a good mixture. We've got a good knocker of the ball. We've got somebody with great pace. And on both sides of the field. We've got two fullbacks, probably the two quickest fullbacks in the Football League at the moment, in the league.
Taggart crowded out of it, and now it's Phelan. Jerry Taggart making lumbering progress back. There's no offside been given. Aldridge up, right heads it away.
So Gary Kelly emerged at Leeds this year and has been voted by his own players as one of the best players, as the best right fullback in the league. Gary suddenly appears and he's suddenly a star. He hadn't played any international matches properly yet, really, but he's a star. Well, he's very quick and he's a good defender and he gets forward and he's a good crosser of the ball. He's a good replacement if anything happens to Dennis. He's one I can settle straight in. I've got very good actually. I've got Terry Phelan at left back and I can fit in Terry or Stephen. I've got options there in both cases.
Nets off. Here comes Kelly again, and McAteer, and Kelly stepping over it. O'Brien back again for Gary Kelly. Nice play. Cascarino. Kelly saves. Here's O'Brien, and Gary Kelly once again. Knocked back towards O'Brien. Cleared away by Corneille.
Paul has his problems in different ways, and his main problem is his knees and his legs. He doesn't train, he just plays. And he warms up and he does little bits, but he never actually joins in the training in any way, shape or form. And that's difficult for you. Because I can sit and watch Paul, and I can see him doing a lot of things as a centre-back now that mainly because he's what we used to call his circles are getting bigger. You know, where you could go in a circle in a yard, Paul needs 2 yards. Then he'd get 2.5 yards and 3 yards. He no longer, he's very experienced and he still can read the game and he's still an exceptionally good centre-back and he'll see us through this World Cup, hopefully. And him and Alan will be my main, if I can get them through the games, the preparation games, and get him into the World Cup, we're okay at the back. We'll be okay. Paul, again, like I say, we all know what he's capable of. We all hope we can wring a little bit more out of him over the next 3 or 4 months. He's voted by the players in England, and that's not an honour to be taken lightly. And this year he's had a bit of a mixed season. He's not been as good as I've seen him. He's been as good sometimes, he's been better sometimes, but he's not been as consistently Paul McGrath, if you understand what I mean. He's not been as consistently Paul McGrath.
But this is Cascarino. And now Sheedy. Up goes McGrath. Yes, it's there! Just the start that Ireland would have wished. As the clock showed 11 minutes, Sheedy's cross, met by McGrath, jumping between the two central defenders.
Staunton, and that's found its way through to Sheedy. Staunton again, well played by the fullback. Staunton's cross, McGrath, it's there! And it's no more than Ireland deserved. Brilliant play by Stephen Staunton, the young fullback. And they all went into the near post. McGrath standing unmarked.
I've got Alan Kernaghan. I think Alan has had a bit of a mixed season. He disappointed me a few times in the Spanish match when he didn't handle a couple of simple situations that he should have done a bit better. Maybe that was a lesson to him and he'll do it better in the future. But he's a good competitor. and he's good in the air, and I don't believe in having centre-backs who drop off and play and give people time to settle, turn, and play 1-2s against them. Nail it in front of you, and it doesn't worry you too much. Stay up the backside of people and keep them facing the wrong way. In the moment, he's got a hamstring problem, but he's never been left out of the team at Man City. He's still always been the #1 centre-back, even though they've been in trouble. And but they've seemed to come through that Manchester City. They've settled down now. They've got a few better players, and and Alan's playing in a team that's playing with a bit more confidence than was before. Difficult for a centre-back when you're playing with a team that isn't playing with any confidence in front of you. It means people get at you a lot more in a lot of different ways than you would like. So I think Alan's had his bad year. I think he'll have good years with City now. We've got Kevin. I mean, Kevin is remarkable. He's done remarkably well for the Republic of Ireland. It's in the interest of the Republic that I get new centre-backs, young centre-backs, who are going to take us on for a period of years. And we haven't been able to find them, not of the right quality. So when we've had somebody pull out, we've always had to go back to Kevin. Now, I've been trying to get rid of Kevin in the nicest possible way for the last couple of seasons. You can't get rid of Kevin because we haven't been able to replace him with people that were as good as Kevin. He's still playing very well. He's still enthusiastic for the game. And like I said to Kevin, as long as you're enthusiastic for the game, and as long as you want to play, and as long as you do prepare to put your head in and get it kicked off, then you'll do for me. But Kevin understands that I've got to find a replacement for him. And I can't find a replacement while I keep picking Kevin to play. So that he's come in to fill a gap all the time. And it's amazing how many gaps we've had over the last 18 months. He's virtually been an ever-present. We need him, and I don't have anybody retire on us. I keep saying to them, if they say, oh, you know, it's time I retired, I didn't play, I say, listen, well, I'll tell you when you retire. I'll tell you when I don't want you. And I don't have the privilege of being able to say that to anybody.
Sheedy takes the corner, and Moran's there! And Kevin Moran has added the second. Nine minutes into the second half, and lots of movement from the target men meant that nobody spotted Kevin Moran coming from the deep, arriving late to glance Kevin Sheedy's perfectly flighted corner, wide of Clewett and into the net.
We'll be seen when the green with the flags unfold, we'll show the world you'll never beat the Irish. With a ring of a do-da-da-da, Jack is the daddy-o, Jack is the daddy-o, that's why we...
And I've got to get it back again. We were starting to play a little bit too much football and thinking we don't have to do this and we don't have to do that. And really, they were doing what they think they should do, not what I tell them to do. I would fear more playing against some of the African nations, the ones that you're expected to beat. I would like to play against teams that you're not expected to beat. Really, I mean, Phil's a dropper-off centre-back. He needs to, he's got good pace, but he likes to be like a sweeper rather than a competitor. And although I know and people have said to me, he's a good player, he can read the game, and he's okay, and he's good. I've not really been in my own mind convinced about Phil. But I was more happy after seeing him play against the Russians, because I asked him to do certain things. I asked him not to drop off. I asked him to compete with the centre-backs. I asked him to push up the back of them. And I asked him to really put his foot in a little bit more than he'd been doing, rather than waiting to see if he could pinch a ball, go get it. And he did. And I felt much more confident in Phil after the last match. So I can look at Phil then and say, yeah, he can handle it. If he can handle Dutch, he can handle most people. So it's something we've got to look for and hope is okay. And he's also played in midfield. He's also the sort of player that I could probably play in the Paul McGrath role, if you needed in certain games, as a holding player in front of the back four, who also can play at centre-back. See, one of our strengths has always been playing as centre-back in midfield. We don't expect him to, all we expect him to do is knock simple balls to people around him who will go and play on the ball. Or when he gets the ball, knock it in behind the full-backs and let's start again from there. Now, in order for your centre-back to actually be allowed to run with him and stay with him, so that your full-back can then cut the angle and get back in and cover him, it means that one of your centre midfield players has to drop and fill that role so that your other centre-back isn't dragged across to this situation. You understand? And leave somebody free at that post. And what you don't want is to move all your fullback and your centre-back into there. That leaves that area very vulnerable. So what we do is we say to the centre-back, playing a fella like Mark Lawrenson, who was great at it, Paul McGrath was great at it, we might finish up with Phil Babb playing in that situation.
Cleared by Babb. Here's Babb's corner.
And it's in off the bar.
Salyenko and Radchenko. Babb got that away, returned by Corneille.
Oh, Andy and Roy Keane are, in fact, in many ways, they're two much similar type of players. They're both good. They both like to get forward. They're both good runners off the ball. But you can't have two centre midfield runners. I mean, you get destroyed through midfield if you clear your midfield with two people running behind fullbacks, or one running to the far post, one going behind the fullback, and then you lose a ball and it comes through midfield. The one place you must never allow international teams to get at you is through midfield, because once they're allowed to run at your back four, they push your back four back, and then they will then get players splitting wide and running free, and you are in trouble. You must always slow international teams down in midfield. You must always make them go round you. When they start to run there, they must be stopped and they must be able to check and then start feeding balls wide to come round you. That way you learn to, you're able to swivel, get people back into positions quicker and earlier, and you can hold them. And the secret of international football is a centre midfield place. I expect good leadership. I expect a driving captain, somebody who gets people at it and tells them where to do and what to do and how to, and get up and is enthusiastic about his game. There's nobody more enthusiastic than Andy. I mean, Mick McCarthy was your captain for ages, and Mick was a driver from the back. Sometimes you've had captains who don't say very much on the park. That's no good to me. I want them to make their presence felt. They might not be having a good game, but it just means that everybody else is not going to have a good game in their mind. Get at it. Get in about it. You can be playing bloody awful as long as you keep running, keep chasing, and make your presence felt. So you might make a mistake or two on a ball. That's only part of the game. So Andy's a good leader. The lads like him. He likes doing the job. He likes the job.
Irwin. Ray Houghton. Irwin again. That's Townsend. Took up a good position. Quinn. Townsend. 1-0. It was only a matter of time, and Andy Townsend's fourth international goal opens the Republic of Ireland account. Brilliant build-up. Townsend took up such a good position and drilled it past right into the far corner. Splendidly taken by the Irish skipper.
Roy Keane is new to us. He's still learning international football, Roy. And the way he was brought up at Nottingham, the way he was brought up to play in their system as a young lad, you know, doesn't really suit him to international football, because he goes running off into areas at times when you really would want him to sit and hold and let somebody else do that. But he's learning, and it'll take a while. He's asked to play a different game for us than he is with Man United, but not too much. We don't like we don't make it radical changes for people like Roy. We understand that people will automatically react to a situation in something that happens in a game, and he will react and go because it's what he's been encouraged to do with his club at United or at Nottingham when he was there. And we can't stop that. But we can remind him that he can't do it all the time, which he used to do at Nottingham. You can't do it all the time. You can't be the runner to move people. He's had good chances. He's struck a lot of good balls, and he's been a bit unlucky that the ball hadn't fitted on a few occasions. But he certainly had some chances. And as long as he keeps making the chances, it doesn't worry me. Roy will score goals eventually. Roy is a very stable kid. He got a little bit of publicity about one or two little hot-headed incidents in clubs, and when people, and footballers do get that, you know, people can be a pain in the arse to players sometimes. When all the player wants to do is have a little drink and talk to his friends, and you get people who push you a little bit. And footballers are usually strong, very fit lads, you know. And Roy has had a little bit of publicity about one or two things. But I've found him a very stable, easygoing, happy lad, no problems with us. He doesn't say very much, he doesn't ask you very much, never asks you a question. But if you want to talk to him, he listens. And we've no problems at all with Roy. Great lad, good lad.
And already the ball's been given away to Niall Quinn. Now Keane. And Roy Keane bursting through the Hungarian defence. It's there! 12 seconds, and Roy Keane has scored the first goal. What a sensational start at Lansdowne Road. Straight from a Hungarian kick-off, they gave the ball away, and Roy Keane surges through the middle of the Hungarian defence and rifles one past the highly rated Petri, and it's 1-0 to the Irish selection. Quinn fed him, he bamboozled the defence. A fine run by David Kelly to tear them apart as well, but what a shot, what a fabulous shot.
And I'm questioning Ray Houghton at the moment, because he's not with his club. He's not playing as well as I would like Raymond to play. He's not as mobile or as quick or as enthusiastic as he used to be. And I've got my doubts about Raymond, but I will express my doubts to Raymond when we come back, when he comes back into the side for the games, which he's missed through them being in the Coca-Cola Cup final and things. I will want to know what's up with Raymond. And I will make my own assessment on Raymond within the national side here, within the international team. I will make an assessment on Raymond and look at him. And if I think Raymond's still got something to offer, he'll be the one to play. Because you can't take away the experience he's got. What I want to know is if he's still got the enthusiasm for the job. I expect him to chase the full-back and to chase the centre-back and to hurry and worry and get under people's feet. And I expect that of him. If he doesn't produce that for us with enthusiasm, then I'll get somebody else. I don't want to get Raymond upset by what I'm saying about him. He's done remarkably great for Ireland, tremendous. But we all get past a little bit, and we all maybe lose a bit of enthusiasm. I want to know if he's still got that for us. I want to know if he's still hungry about the game. And I haven't seen him for a while.
McGrath seek another option. Moran. Cascarino and Houghton. And there it is. Fully deserved. And the goal, when it came, stunning in its simplicity. Again, Cascarino, the effective target man, and Houghton's first touch superb. His second, delivering it right out of Clewett's reach.
Ronnie's struggling now in midfield for us because we've got so many midfield players. Ronnie's had long term of injuries. I mean, even right back to the Italy thing. I actually brought him on against the Dutch virtually when we knew the game was going to be a draw, just to give him a game and to get him involved, you know. But Ronnie wanted to play, but Ronnie was never fit during that tournament. He carried far too much weight, and he certainly wasn't fit, and he hadn't got over his injuries. And it's proved since that the number of injuries Ronnie's had over the last couple of years, I mean, it's ridiculous. They're all related injuries. Related injuries. You have an injury to one thing, and it affects something else, and it affects something else. And but I'm delighted to see Ronnie back now, because he's very experienced. He's playing regularly with Liverpool. If he plays to the end of the season, he got enough experience to sit on the bench with us, and when we need a job doing, to go do it for us. And to do it in a good way, because Ronnie's a good player. He's an extremely good passer of the ball, and he's a good reader of the game as well. And Ronnie, although I think he'd probably never, ever... Ronnie was never the quickest player in the world, but he always had enough pace. I think he's got to work a little bit more at that now, and maybe a bit more enthusiasm for the World Cup, and he might still have a part to play for us. Eddie McGoldrick is sort of being on the if and missy with us, but then he's come in and he's played left-sided, right-sided. Maybe he'll push Ray Houghton for his job, because Eddie is an out-and-out right-sided midfield player who likes to get forward and is a good crosser to the ball. It gives you other options. Eddie played at left-back for us in the game against Russia. And I mean, Eddie will play anywhere for you, and he'll do a good job. I think his best position is right-sided midfield. But he's been sweeper at Arsenal and Crystal Palace.
Phelan. McGoldrick. Challenge from Sieverbeck, Ireland's throw. Out of the Danish defence, Peter Schmeichel does the organising as McGoldrick takes the kick. Houghton. Well worth the effort.
I think Stephen is very capable of taking the ball up to people and going to the dead ball end and getting past them a lot more than he intends and does. He's a very good crosser of the boys, from best left foot I've ever seen. I mean, he can ping a ball from the touchline to the far post without any problem whatsoever. But I think because he's good at this, he does it too often. And I think there's lots of times when he can really aim to get to the dead ball end, and he's capable of it. And he's also a tremendous striker of the ball from free kicks. I mean, we've got probably the two best strikers of the ball from free kicks in Great Britain. I mean, there's none better than Dennis Irwin or Stephen. So we've got a bonus in there with Stephen. He's had a few injury problems. He's had a couple of groin operations. But by the time the summer comes, we'll have him fit, and we'll have him right, and we'll have him at left half, and we'll have him bombing on, and we'll have him crossing balls, and we'll have him whacking balls at goalkeepers. And he's going to make his presence felt in America. He's a very important part of our system because we've no other left-sided player.
Staunton with it. It's in! It's unbelievable! It's 3-0! Well, that's a remarkable goal for Steve Staunton. And 29 minutes gone, and it's 3-0 to the Republic. Well, they were all worried about the high ball into the middle, but he threaded it through them all and in at the near post. Hardly what he intended.
I've got cover in midfield. I've got Liam O'Brien who came in and showed us Liam's is a better player now than he's been. Liam is now responsible, professional. He never seemed to be that to me until this last year. Now he's beaten Newcastle, done okay, but he's now in Tranmere, and he's now a senior pro. He's now somebody who knows what the job's about a little bit better. Something we recognised in him, but it wasn't there before. Liam has been a one that I've never really... He disappears out the game on too many occasions for you. When you go and watch him and suddenly he looks great, strikes great balls from the edge of the box, knocks a nice few passes, puts his foot in, and then you don't see him for 20 minutes. And you wonder where he's gone. And then suddenly you pick him up again and he'll do something. Now, I think Liam, when he went to England and he went to Man United, was a bit laid back and thought, well, maybe I've made it now, you know. I don't think he learned a great deal at Old Trafford. He came on to Newcastle looked okay for a while, and then Kevin lost a bit of faith in him. And Kevin went and got somebody else. And Liam was in the team that got him promotion out of the second division, out of the first division in the Premier League. And I'd done great for Newcastle that year, but he was discarded. Now, why? Maybe managers look at him and say, nah, you know, he disappears out of the game too often. Now, I've seen him, so I went to see him at Tranmere. And he's really got a grip of his game a little bit more. He's in it more, and he knows what his role is. And he looked much better against the Russians when he played for us, that he knew what his role was, what his responsibilities were, and what he was supposed to be doing, and that he was supposed to stay in the game the whole time. And that the game lasts for 90 minutes. So he's welcome back. Whether he'll ever make it through our squad or not, I don't know, you know. But he certainly, he looks a more rounded professional player now than he's done for the last 4 or 5 years.
But there is Liam O'Brien to think about it.
Have a go at it.
And that's the kind of angle from which he's got to aim.
Just keep it on target.
So it's Liam O'Brien against the Russians. Charlton. Cascarino up. Oh, it's there!
And the substitution proves the masterstroke. And those shouts are of delight and of relief. Alan McLaughlin won the ball there, laid it back to Staunton. And Staunton's big booming cross met firmly by Cascarino above Pearce, and Woods was beat to the wide. Staunton and Townsend together. 7 men protecting the new cap goalkeeper. Staunton, it's there! And Stephen Staunton separates his 10th appearance in the green shirt with his very first goal for his country. A brilliantly contrived free kick over the wall, around the tallest man in it, and into the corner of the net.
That's come down towards Townsend. Oh, yes! The perfect response. Andy Townsend makes it 2-1.
Here's Dennis Irwin to take it. Comes straight out to McLaughlin. It's there! Alan McLaughlin has done it! He could not believe it. He looked for the linesman's flag, but Windsor Park is stunned into silence. Alan McLaughlin has struck gold for Ireland. His very first goal for the Republic of Ireland. Headed out by Taggart. He seized the responsibility, and the man from Portsmouth proves himself another masterstroke as a substitution. Taggart's clearance, but this is a classy finish, an unbelievable finish. The man who first came to prominence during the World Cup in Italy may well have secured the Republic's passage to the next one. Splendid strike, no chance right.
John's had a dreadful time with us. John's been with us since I came. And he's never actually got himself a position of his own, but then it's not, a lot of it's not our fault, because John has been the most hit-y-missy turner-upper of anybody in the squad. Sometimes you phone up and he's injured. And I get a bit doubtful about John sometimes as to whether he actually wants to come and play for us too often, or whether he actually says, no, I'm injured. It is a doubt I've had with John. And yet John would deny that vehemently, and he'd say, no, I don't want to come, and I am injured. But he's had a hell of a lot of injuries, and he's pulled out a hell of a lot of games for us over the last 4 or 5 years. When there was an opportunity for him to make a position his own, but he never did that, because he didn't turn up the following game, or he didn't turn up the game after that. He played extremely well for us against the Spanish when he came on. Now, I was thinking in terms of, well, maybe it would be a good idea if I played John and Roy and in Roy Keane's position, and I could play Roy Keane as in the role that he used Paul McGrath in. So we could go back to what we're good at, and we know, and we can have Roy, who's got a good engine, who can be a centre-back or be a midfield player, who's got a good engine across the back four, and can cover most things for you. And then John doesn't turn up the next match, or the match after. And you go, well. And then suddenly the thought that's gone that might have happened is gone out of your mind again. And you're back to what you know best. And John is on the bench again.
Whelan, Sheridan, looking for Quinn. And Houghton trying to get in, and Sheridan, it's there! And at long last, there's something to cheer. And John Sheridan scores for Ireland with 18 minutes to go. All is perhaps not quite as bad as it seems. There was determination there, and finally he found the shot to find the net. And now, 18 minutes to go. Spain have been strolling through this. 18 minutes. Can they do something else as well as that?
Alan McLaughlin is... I've always felt Alan didn't have a big enough engine for us. That he's not a 90-minute grafter back and across midfield and a foot putter in and a strong midfield man. Alan is a different type of player. Alan's a player you play behind your front two, and you allow him leeway in midfield to get forward and to sneak into positions that he's very, very good at. And he's always liable to get you goals or make you chances. But he's not a strong, powerful midfield player. But there is a role for Alan in certain games. When you need somebody, when you know you're going to put people under pressure, and you need somebody who just a good sneaker into positions and gets there and is good skill and good control in tight areas, then Alan is your man.
Urban. Still Urban, McLaughlin there. And McLaughlin prevented the corner, throw to Hungary. That was better build-up by Hungary. Quinn, oh, lovely ball down for McLaughlin. Oh, and a great save by Petrie. Another superbly economical build-up by Ireland.
We've looked at the boy Jason McAteer, who I think can be an excellent player. He showed in the first 25 minutes and 30 minutes against Russia. And when their coach actually brought a player back to man-to-man marking for the rest of the game, because he could recognise that Jason McAteer was actually the one that everything was, he was causing them all the problems. And he worked very well with Gary Kelly. They both did extremely well on that side of the field, and most of the threat that we created in the first half came through that. So we've got options. And so it's nice when we produce a Roy Keane. It's nice when we produce a Kelly. It's nice when we get somebody coming through from the youths that is going to make it as a player. And we keep looking and following them through and following their career when they go back to the clubs and are over 21, and we keep an eye on them. And we hope that one of them will suddenly blossom.
McLaughlin, McAteer, easily round Kuznetsov. Then the presence of Rakhimov was enough to discommode him. He takes the feet from the Russian centre half. And for the first time in the match, Rakhimov, Popov, McAteer dispossessing him, Liam O'Brien offering assistance. McAteer once more. Gary Kelly. David Kelly going up. McAteer hauled back there by Popov.
John is a very fit lad. He works very hard. He looks after himself. He's a very fit boy, John Aldridge. And he hasn't scored as many goals for us because we tend to pull him away from the 18-yard box and let him run to corners to get the balls we play into corners first, and then to play balls to people who will then cross the ball in for big lads and have a midfield player get into in a position in the box to support your big lads at the far post. It's the way we like to play. So John is used as a runner, but he still gets goals. But most of his goals John gets for us are usually from dead ball situations and free kicks. But he's a good finisher, and he's always be a threat. They will be the main. They've taken us there, and they'll give the opportunity to do it there. Within the game, we'll decide who we replace, if and when we replace somebody.
Irwin. Aldridge! The hat-trick! Townsend again, Quinn. And now Roy Keane. Towards Aldridge. Oh, that's it! And it took the superb footballing brain of Roy Keane to pick that one out. A brilliant, delicate chip. And John Aldridge just got away from his marker to glance the header into the net. Much, much better. Less of the brute force and up and under. More of a footballer's instinct. And watch this, Keane, when it found him. Here from Quinn. Keane looked up, saw where Aldridge was, and those delicate chips, and there was Aldridge pulling away from Vada to plant it in the corner.
We have no alternative in Tony Cascarino. We've always used the two big lads up front, and we've usually altered, given them both a game. Like I say to Niall, run yourself out, Niall. Don't spare yourself in effort and chasing people and putting them under pressure. And when we feel you've had enough, we'll take you off and we'll stick Tony on. Or if we think that we need an extra threat, we'll bring John off and we'll stick Tony on. So we've got the two big lads, and we'll throw the balls at the box and see if we can get a Roy Keane or an Alan Kern or somebody from midfield to cash in on it, on your ability to win the ball in the air. So the John Aldridge, Niall Quinn, Tony Cascarino triangle has been what you'll find over the years has been most used that way.
Up goes Cascarino! Quinn gave Zubizarreta a bit of a knock there, which the referee didn't spot, but Spain managed to clear it anyway. Cascarino. And still it's Cascarino. Oh, what a finish!
We've got alternatives in Tommy Coyle. Tommy's had a personal tragedy a while ago, and he's only just really getting over it. We brought him back into the squad, and he's really got to prove himself with us yet.
Staunton, this time Coyne is not offside. Here's Tommy Coyne, and he's got it! Tommy Coyne has done it! On his first visit to Dublin to wear the green, Tommy Coyne wipes out the Swiss lead after only 2 minutes.
His first touch is very good, knocking it on in front of himself, making himself favourite all the time, and a good little touch as the goalkeeper's coming out with his left foot, and he seems to be good at that, Coyne.
Now, free kick from O'Brien. Southall saves, Coyne scores! Just a quarter of an hour to go then. Mark Hughes' goal separating the sides. Up goes Coyne, in goes John Byrne. What a stop by Southall!
David Kelly has been around with us for years. Now, David is a good runner, but I always feel that David is too light for us. I like people with a bit more weight about them, a bit more strength. But he's always the one, David, that you need on the bench, because he will come in and get you the odd goal when it's necessary, when you need that extra yard of pace. And he's a bit like Alan McLaughlin. I like the pair of them there for the time I know I'll need them. But I don't need them all the time.
That's a better spell of Irish pressure. Whelan. And the chance is there and taken! And David Kelly has done it! Played on a losing Irish side is the one who gets the vital touch. Away from Fuentes. Mind you, I think it maybe took a touch off Fuentes.
He got there first all right, but the glancing header was not on target, was it? It sort of knocked in off Fuentes.
Losing Niall Quinn was a blow. Because Niall and Tony are both very players you must hang on to. Other teams must take notice of, because they're big lads, good competitors, and their work rate is very high. And they'll always score your goals at the far post if you give them room. So the people, and while the people are looking at them, we can do things in other areas. So Niall is a very big miss for us.
Excuse me, head the ball. Have you got any tickets?
Yo, where's the game at, man?
Orlando.
Yo, kick it! Tell me, Sean Farrell, tell me why you hurt me so. I'm going to the U.S.
I'm going to, bro.
For the World Cup, for the World Cup, for the World Cup. Hey, Danny boy, why the perfect calling? The call us to America for the footballing. For the World Cup, for the World Cup, for the World Cup. Ole, we're going for a holiday. Me and my mates are heading for the States.
That's right.
Going to see the team sing out on the beat.
Hey.
Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far.
Now listen up.
Tell me, son of Pharaoh, where the gather gonna be? New York, Orlando.
That's where you find me.
For the World Cup, for the World Cup, for the World Cup. Danny boy.
Will you sleep in peace?
If we win the World Cup, I'll be at mine. Win the World Cup, win the World Cup, win the World Cup. Ireland, Republic of Ireland.
We love football.
It doesn't matter where, you know we'll be there. With a ring, da-ma-do, Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far.
Come on.
Ring, Rosie, as the life declines, you find us in the bar celebrating good times. At the World Cup, at the World Cup, at the World Cup. It's lonely round the fields of Bath and Rye, cause everyone you know has decided to fly. To the World Cup, to the World Cup, to the World Cup. Mary from the low,
She gonna go.
the Rose of Chile.
She be there with me.
We're going out to win, we're going out to sing.
Then sing it.
Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far. Yeah! And don't forget your visa if you want to go to work, but don't forget your ticket if you're going to New York. For the World Cup, for the World Cup, for the World Cup. North and South, man, come right on. We'll be there to answer the call. At the World Cup, at the World Cup, at the World Cup. We'll be seen wearing the green with the flags unfurled. We'll show the world. You'll never beat the Irish. With a ring, da-ma-do, Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far. With a ring, da-ma-do, Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far. With a ring, da-ma-do, Jack is the daddy-o. Jack is the daddy-o. That's why we got this far.
I'm looking forward to America because it's a place they've all either been or they've all wanted to go to. It seems to be the place that the Irish go to. They've all got relatives, they've all got friends, they've all got a presence in America already to go and visit or see. And the World Cup is a nice excuse to go. But the support we'll receive and the people that get in for the games and the noise and the presence of the Irish fans is a very important factor in building up the confidence of the players and the team and giving them that extra bit of enthusiasm to go that extra yard and put the foot in that extra bit harder and a bit stronger. That's very important, that you've got a backing behind you, that they know is there and believes in them. That's very important. And I mean, America, everybody said that it would be difficult, whether they would be able to handle the World Cup. I never doubted they would be able to handle it. There are enormous ethnic populations out there who follow football, whose tradition in the families were football. Although America have got its own games, the World Cup was always going to be a huge success. I mean, you can't get tickets for the games. They're all sellouts all over the place. I'm sure that that they'll all enjoy it. I mean, I don't think they'll enjoy the games at the matches so much as they will in the pubs. I think the pubs in America and the pubs in Ireland will be the place to go. The players won't be allowed to go and drink pints of Guinness anytime they feel like it. I mean, we might have a happy hour a couple of evenings. You know, just while you come in, have a happy hour for a pint of Guinness before you go to bed, maybe the night before a match. Who knows? I mean, I used to wonder sometimes what you're allowed to drink. I think a pint of beer or a pint of Guinness would probably do them more good the night before a match than a pint of orange juice, fizzy orange.